Yeah, I think this is going to work out just perfectly. So let's do this. Let's take you to Copenhagen right now, where we're about to get an announcement of the first city outs. Let's have a listen.
The city of Chicago, having obtained the least number of votes, will not participate in the next round.
Chicago is out. Chicago is out. Chicago is out. Let's get AD mic'd up here.
Tildeles president Barack Obama for hans ekstraordinære innsats for
Now, one of the things that we try to do on the BCast is BCast contributor Pam Key, when she comes up with a new Naked Emperor news piece, we try, not always, doesn't always happen, we try to debut them here on the BCast as a benefit and a bonus for you, that you get the first exclusive look. Again, some of them are big, hard-hitting, giant think pieces. Others are sometimes just a little snippet or two that catches Pam's eye. Sometimes she joins us. Sometimes we just play them ourselves and then make fun of her. Whatever we feel.
No.
And
we get in trouble when we make fun of her.
And overnight, this is one I didn't know it was coming. So I got no advance notice that that this was in the works.
Naked Emperor Safra.
Right. But she had sent an email asking a question, and before I could even respond to it, then she wrote back and said, "Never mind, I found it." So then today, here was the new piece, and what it is, it's an interesting little comparison that involves our country and its role in the world, its economic prowess, its military
Economic
position.
what?
Prowess.
We still have
well, you're right.
economic prowess.
And it compares, things Obama said before the election to one recent instance, right? So it's just one
We're
of the...
not allowed to talk about the things he said before the election.
I know that is the case, but I'm going to play it for you. So here now, Pam's new piece.
There is word tonight of a record deficit projection for the federal government. Chief political correspondent Carl Cameron is crunching the numbers for us tonight. Good evening, Carl.
Hiya there, Brett. The Congressional Budget Office says that the federal deficit for the fiscal year 2009 is projected to be a jaw-dropping $1.4 trillion. That is literally 3 times bigger than the deficit was in the year prior to that. In past years, the federal budget deficit has been generally less than 3% of gross domestic product. This is nearly 10% of every dollar of the totality of U.S. economic growth.
We are borrowing from China nonstop. So, you probably, everybody's got a cousin, who's always like borrowing money. Right? You got one of those, don't you? And, whenever they borrow money, they always seem to have like a good reason for why they're borrowing it. But at some point, you want to say to them, why are you not taking care of your business? Why are you always getting yourself in a jam? So you lose respect, right, for people who are like that. Well, that's to some degree what we've been doing.
Having China as our banker isn't good for our economy, it isn't good for our global leadership, and it isn't good for our national security. History teaches us that for a nation to remain a preeminent military power, it must remain a preeminent economic power.
There's never been a nation on earth that saw its economy decline and continued to be the most powerful military power on earth. That's never happened. We are an indebted nation, and that not only makes us more vulnerable, it weakens the dollar. And remember this, there's never been a country in the world who saw its economy decline and was able to maintain its preeminence militarily. No one nation can or should try to dominate another nation. No world order that elevates one nation or group of people over another will succeed. No balance of power among nations will hold.
Things have changed.
Times they are changing.
Yeah. So back then it was like, yeah, we want to be the preeminent economy. We want to be the preeminent military power. Yeah, this is what you need to not lose respect. I was like, no, no, we don't want to be that. No, we're sorry. Wait till you hear that. If you haven't seen
game show noise, was like, wah, wah, wah.
That's your
we
favorite
need that.
noise, yeah.
Yeah, to
Do
play
that.
every time
Ringtone.
he says something that we don't like.
Yep. And so let me ask you this, because I know you're looking at debt numbers in China, and you sent me a piece here. I have what I have here, and you can tell me what you think will make the logical order. I have Dick Morris put up a piece over the just a couple days ago, kind of looking back at the G20 and some of his thoughts as things have moved on, and really it's a really stern little lecture about how we just gave away our economic power again at the G20.
We continue to give it away.
Right.
Kind of like they're giving away free cash from Obama in Detroit, right?
Right.
Handing it out.
So now I can play Dick Morris, or I can play this one. And you
these
can...
are good lead-in pieces. Okay, they're just kind of fact-based, and that'll help set probably the stage for what Dick Morris has to say. The first is from Fox Business Today, just taking a quick look at the national debt.
What they're basically saying is there's a group of people, the Chinese, the Russians, Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds, who say move out of the U.S. dollar and move into this basket, yuan, yen, euro, and gold. That sent gold substantially higher. Also, what's missing here, the U.S. dollar. China holds $2 trillion. Japan, $750 billion. They hold a lot of U.S. dollars. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of reasons for them to say, hey, get out of the U.S. dollar. It could hurt them badly. One of them is they're worried about the Fed printing press. If we keep printing money to pay for all our stimulus and initiative, that's going to drop the value of the dollar and drive prices up. Things like gold and oil. Also, tax. They're very worried about that. And number one, they're worried about debt. We're swimming in it. Take a look at this. This is the national debt clock. Here's where we stand. $11.8 trillion in debt. Here's what we're taking. Here's our gross domestic product, $10 trillion. We're taking in $1.6 trillion, and we're spending, guys, look at this. We're spending double of what we're taking in. We're just adding to national debt. That's why they're worried about the U.S. dollar. And I had to end it with this. Only in New York.
So that whole spending versus what we're taking in thing might be kind of important, especially since it's double going out compared to what's coming in. And real quickly, Bloomberg noting that the U.S. has sold $1.5 trillion of notes and bonds this year, compared with $585 billion at the same point in 2008. London-based Barclays forecasts total 2009 issuance at $2.1 trillion and $2.5 trillion in 2010. Dollar bears say net purchases of long-term U.S. securities by foreign investors fell below the trade deficit by $46 billion in the first half of the year. One of the only three occasions since 1994 there was a shortfall, according to the Treasury Department data. China has slowed purchases. They hold $800 billion currently. Slowed purchases, increasing its holdings 10% to $800.5 billion through July, after a 52% rise in 2008 and 20% in 2007. Foreign ownership overall has risen at 11.4% to $3.43 trillion after gaining 31% in 2008. The Chinese premier said in March that the Asian nation was worried about the safety of its investment in U.S. debt, as a weakening dollar eroded the value of its record $2.1 trillion of foreign exchange reserves.